Angelina, you dey cool my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver. And go for your hand never. So now me you could love forever. I'm a cocky no feeble like that. I'm a Angelina, Angelina. Oh, me all down. Anytime we I see you for the club or the television, your body. Sure no say when you carry, put it killing somebody. You know I feel a vibe, you feel a vibe, so baby, why the party? Yeah. And I know you shy, but it's cool when we're making love. On the low, 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 yeah, on the Angelina, they cool my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver. I look for the hand never. So now me you go live forever. I'm a cocky no feel like that. I'm a Angelina.
All right, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is probably going to be the most important community call yet to date. David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, good to have you always. So I guess why don't we just slowly get started here? So, David, I don't know if you want to answer a couple questions so that we could just wait for more people to come in first and then kind of take it from there, and then we can kind of release like the testnet updates and whatnot. We
Yeah, I
have
think that
a,
sounds like a great idea. Let's warm up. Let's get people talking a bit. If there are any questions,
okay,
start like that.
awesome. Well, I'll just start with some community questions before we bring anybody up because nobody's requested so far. But if anybody does have any questions right now and you'd like to ask a question, please hit that request button and we'll pull you up. But in the meantime, let me just pull up some questions that we had here. So somebody asked, can Boss solve the UTXO dust problem on Bitcoin?
Can Boss solve the UTXO dust problem? That's interesting, actually. Huh. I actually was reading about this a while ago. Interesting. Who asked this? It's just like in the. That's interesting.
Yeah, his name is One Piece.
Oh, let me have a think. Huh.
So what I
He
had
must
said
have a
was that
lot of dust sitting around.
yeah. So what I said was that it won't like directly solve like the fundamental like dust issue, but it'll basically provide like more efficient ways to manage and maybe combine small amounts through its infrastructure. What do you think about that?
I think that in Bitcoin, dust is something, and I might be wrong, but I think when I looked into this, dust is something that is a consequence of how the opcode works, or how the chain is meant to work, so that you don't spam it with small transactions. We're not making any, and I know we're not making any changes to how Bitcoin is programmed or the fundamental code on Bitcoin. So
So you don't think that with the ZK proofs we could just basically provide more efficient ways to manage that?
So I think, yeah, so now I'm going to go out on a limb and say that, can you build a program that could find a way to hover up the dust and verify that program back to Bitcoin and give the users Bitcoin, give the users Bitcoin finality and Bitcoin security to, I guess it's bizarre to say this, to prove that the dust was fair, that to prove that the dust was that the dust was indeed your dust, or that it indeed belonged to your wallet, so you're not stealing someone else's dust. And today you can't build that on Bitcoin, and you can't build, and if you built it on Ethereum, there is no Bitcoin finality for Ethereum yet. With our roll-up stack that we're developing, in theory, it would be possible to have a hybrid model where you could roll up let's say, take an L2, Optimism or Arbitrum or Mode, and you built an app on those in EVM, and those chains had a roll-up stack to Bitcoin where the users can choose which network I want to interact on in terms of finality and settlement. And instead of choosing Ethereum, you would choose Bitcoin. You will run this application on Ethereum. I don't know. I don't think that would work, but it's an interesting idea. You would still have to build an application that can identify these things and somehow put them together. But yeah,
That's an interesting take. I mean, obviously, like Boss like lets you batch many transactions into a single ZK proof. Do you think that these can be aggregated before settling on Bitcoin, which would basically mean that those small UTXOs can possibly be efficiently combined off chain?
yeah. That's
Yeah.
the question. Is there an application that can run on Bitcoin that can batch these smaller balances that are around? Okay, another thing, there is a possibility of maybe, and I don't want to say too much because this is something we will reveal later on, actually, that we're building, but there's a way that we have built a way to manipulate UTXOs in very interesting ways. So UTXOs are, in a simple way and not strictly true, they are the accounts essentially that you have on Ethereum, but UTXO is your wallet, it is a transaction, it's the accounting system for Bitcoins. So just in a simple way, think of them as accounts, and we are looking at a way to manipulate UTXOs and creating more functionality around them than exists today on Bitcoin. Again, without changing the Bitcoin opcode. Maybe that's something that can be applied to Dust, or to smaller. Yeah, but right now I believe that wallets can already consolidate small UTXOs, but it has to do with network fees and a few other things, and I think it's not necessarily doable at your leisure. Yeah, can we make that more convenient? That's interesting.
Yeah, no,
But yeah, we are working on things that could potentially, but it's not one of our core focuses, I would say. It's could be an interesting side effect.
yeah,
I wonder how much dust.
definitely something to think about for sure. And then this question kind of comes up pretty frequently. I think there's a lot of confusion around like the one of n trust model, like security kind of
Yeah,
system that we use. Um, and basically, yeah, if you could just dive into how does Boss's security work with the one of n trust model, and then kind of compare that to maybe like the honest majority that typical bridges use.
sure. So let's say I want to send you money, Claire, um, and maybe there's no point using a metaphor here, actually. But if you think about a typical vault or bridge, what happens is you put Bitcoin in order to move Bitcoin to Ethereum. You'd put Bitcoin inside this vault, and for every Bitcoin you put in the vault, you have to create a Ethereum-based token, an ERC20. That's only Bitcoin in name. right? It's not actually a Bitcoin. It's just an ERC20 token that we name something Bitcoin, for example, wrap Bitcoin. But we always have to make sure that for every Bitcoin that is in the vault, every real Bitcoin that's in the vault, we only have ever got one ERC20 Bitcoin in existence. These numbers have to match all the time. You can't create more ERC20 Bitcoins because it would dilute the value of Bitcoin on Ethereum, because the value needs to be the same. Otherwise, you defeat the whole point. And now the question is, so whose job is it to determine and make sure that it's always a 1-to-1 ratio? Whose job is it to determine that? Because if someone created a bunch of fake Ethereum Bitcoins, for example, and went to the vault and said, hey, let me redeem. I have so many Ethereum Bitcoins. Let me redeem these for the real Bitcoin in the bridge. They would essentially burn the Ethereum Bitcoin and they would receive the real Bitcoin. And what if someone came with fake ones? That would essentially steal from the bridge. So you need somebody to make sure that the bridge operates in a way that is honest. The way it's done today, take Wrap BTC for example. Used to be a custody company. Custody company is a company who you give your assets to, and their only job is to safeguard your assets and not use your assets for anything else that you haven't approved. So you essentially retain economic ownership of these assets, but they're not in your control. And right now, I think Wrap BTC has, 3 signatures or something. So there's 3 people, let's call it 3 entities that decide if your withdrawal is honest or not, right? But you have to think like, are these 3 people honest? Okay, first of all, you have to ask, are these 3 people honest? And in this case, for Wrap BTC, one of the signatures is Justin Sun, an individual, powerful individual in crypto, and it was kind of seen as maybe not the safest thing to have him have one of the keys for Wrap BTC. And that's not a personal opinion. Aave, I believe, removed the Wrap BTC pool when Justin became one of the signatories, and we'll explain why. So the first question you have to ask is, if I want to use this bridge, no matter who is in there, do I trust these 3 people? And let's assume you do, okay? And now you say, okay, so how will these people make decisions? They will simply vote. So you need 2 out of 3 to determine if something is valid or not. And then the question becomes, okay, so 2 out of 3, that sounds good, but what if I hack them and I manage to steal 1 key or 2 keys? And that's all I need to do to steal the Bitcoin that's inside. And this happened in 2021 or 22, late 21 or early 22, I don't remember, to a very large bridge called Ronin Bridge, which was the bridge for Axie Infinity, one of the largest Web3 games at the time. And they lost, I believe, $600 million. Because it turned out that, yes, everyone knew that there were 6 signatories for their bridge, or 7, and those people were trusted and honest. But it turned out that I think 4 of the keys were held by the same entity. That entity got hacked. And I think it was Lazarus, the North Korean hacking group, that then managed to withdraw all those funds from the bridge. So it shows that there are vulnerabilities when you rely on signatories. There's human error, phishing attempts, and people can be targeted and entities can be targeted. So taking a step back, this is how the majority assumption looks. You always have to trust the participants of that system, no matter how many they are, and you have to trust that the majority of them is honest. And so you have to trust that they don't get compromised all the time. And compromising them is an attack vector. So in the case of a 3-person bridge, all you need to do is take over 2. In the case of a 1,000-people bridge, all you need to do is take 500. In most cases, we're talking probably about 10 to 20 different validators. We call these validators, these entities that are supposed to be honest, etc. The problem with this system is that if you want to make it permissionless, let's say permissionless, why? Because you might not trust them. There might be situations in the world where these people are not trustworthy anymore. Could be war, it could be political chaos, and people are looking at their self-interest. If you wanted to expand it to permissionless, you had thousands of people checking all the time, like Bitcoin, decentralized, thousands of nodes. You can't guarantee that you're getting the same number of honest people coming in as dishonest. So if you had a system that was permissioned with 20 people, well, let's say I brought 500 people, but let's say I own all of them. Immediately, the system now has 520 validators, and I happen to own 500 of them without you knowing. So these systems have a difficulty expanding to become permissionless and to become truly decentralized for this reason. Because you have to make sure that the ratio of honest to dishonest is always more than a certain majority threshold. So for our bridge, we also rely on a set of entities that will make sure that these transactions are honest, okay? But the difference is, it's not just a voting mechanism where everyone votes. But if Claire decides, hey, I want to redeem some ERC20 Bitcoin here for real Bitcoin, and comes to the bridge, and she posts a proof, a CK proof, zero knowledge proof that she indeed has the Bitcoin is honest, but let's say Claire is actually lying. Now, in this case, when you see a CK proof and you want to challenge the proof and verify if it's correct or not, you don't need anyone else to agree with you. You don't need a consensus decision. I can independently check that proof and investigate it through an on-chain verification on Bitcoin. And I'll be able to see what the answer is. And anybody else who wants to look at the proof will arrive at the same result. Therefore, we don't have to trust each other and check each other. We just have to check the facts. And the facts don't lie. And this is why we say that all you need is one entity to be honest in this whole system, for the transactions to be secure, for fraud to be prevented. Because you don't need to sit down, have a consensus, and agree with the majority. Meaning, I can't say, yeah, I'm going to vote yes just because Claire votes yes. And just because 5 other guys vote yes, I'll vote yes too, because this is the majority. And because of the majority has said something, it must be right. Right? That's not how we do things, often in society, for decisions where there's truth, when there's truth somewhere, we tend to say that, yeah, just because nine, let me give you an example. Just because 9 out of 10 people say that 1 + 1 = 3 doesn't make it true, right? This is what we are fixing here. Our thing is like a 1 + 1 = 2. No matter how many checks, you can be one person that says, hey, I know math, this is how it works, it's 2. No matter if it's 1 million people saying it's 3, you guys are wrong. So this means that in order to take over our system and make it dishonest, you have to own the whole system. You have to take over every single node, right? And it also means that as we let the system scale and become more decentralized and more permissionless, it actually makes the system more secure, because it becomes more expensive to take over the whole system, which is the opposite of what happens to a majority system that is permissioned. So our goal is to make the verification so cheap that it doesn't cost a lot to check things. Right? And we also do it in a way where it's very easy for the verifiers to see that certain proofs look dishonest in the first place, so that they know where to check. But that's essentially what it is, and it has very big implications. And this is the last point: it has big implications. Why? Because if you are a builder and you are building a lending protocol on Ethereum, and people are coming to you depositing their Ethereum Bitcoins, and you're giving them USDT or USDC or stable coins against it, if your collateral, so the Bitcoin you get in return for lending, if that collateral is ERC20 Bitcoin in a multi-signature bridge, and the bridge is compromised, the real Bitcoin that backs those ERC20 Bitcoins disappears into someone's wallet, the thief's wallet. And that means your wrapped Bitcoin, your ERC20 Bitcoin, are now worthless. And it means that the protocol that took your wrapped Bitcoin and gave you stable coins is now what we call insolvent. They have now lost more money than they have lent out. And they have no way to sell that collateral to manage your loan anymore. And I believe that is why these leading DeFi protocols on Ethereum decided to offboard wrap BTC when the signatories changed earlier last year. That was a very long answer, but hopefully we can, hopefully if there are any questions at all, more than happy to take them.
Thanks for that, David. And I guess if anybody obviously tried to cheat the system, there's kind of no reason for that, right? Because they would basically lose their staked boss token. Correct.
Yeah, so there will be slashing mechanisms for validator nodes. If you are a user that brings false proofs, it's not free to post proofs and it's not free to verify proofs. When you want to verify and prove something, you have to attach a something of monetary value to that process. So you're not so that we prevent people from spamming the chain. Or if you make proving free, then you have no control over this. There's no cost of being dishonest, but we have to create the cost of being dishonest. So yeah, there's also a cost to being a dishonest verifier. If someone is bringing a honest proof and you keep blocking it, that's all. There's also a cost to that. But we believe that the most important thing is to prevent targeted attacks. People aren't going to come every day and try to withdraw half a BTC, this way or that way. What these sophisticated hacking groups do is they come and they try to compromise the whole system. If the bridge has 90,000, 100,000 Bitcoin inside, they would want to steal everything, of course. Right. If you look at Arbitrum, for example, which is a roll-up on Ethereum, I don't think Arbitrum has had their optimistic roll-up with a multi-sig bridge. I don't think they've had transactions that have been fraudulent. I think very, very, very less than 1% perhaps of transactions have been disputed, if even that. So most of the time, we just expect people to post honest proofs and very smoothly get their Bitcoins across, right? And these proofs are very small, like we've said, they're only 300 bytes. So they don't even clog up the Bitcoin mainnet at all. But it's when some bigger actor, like a North Korean hacking group or something, comes and wants to compromise the whole bridge, that we know that, all we need to do is have one honest guy, and it's going to stop it, and it's going to be safe.
All right. Well, thanks for expanding on that. And because we're about 5-10 minutes in already, or maybe 20 minutes now. How about we just hop into the update before we answer any more questions? So yeah, if you want to start talking about testnet, let's go ahead and do that.
Sure. So we have one of the so let me think where to start on this, but I think a lot of people have been waiting for this in our community, to see how this product works, to how this bridge works. And it's been a very heavy lift to build this. Everything is just experimental and innovative. But we are now at a point where the two-way bridge smart contract is close to being demonstrable. Right? With technology, you always have to test things. That's going to take some time. But we're ready to kind of move from Bitcoin somewhere else and from somewhere else back. What we are confident now in terms of the code and doing things is actually moving from Bitcoin to other environments. What we're going to release in the coming days is a user interface where we will showcase the integrations that we've made. And these integrations are made primarily by our own core dev team. And what you'll see is that the first integrations that BitcoinOS is making are to EVM environments. This is because EVM environments have, I would say it's twofold. Technically speaking, for zero knowledge proofs, Ethereum has invested billions of dollars to understand zero knowledge proofs and to facilitate zero knowledge proofs. And the whole ecosystem understands zero knowledge proofs. Polygon has spent billions of dollars researching this, for example. And so it's a very natural place to go, and there's a lot of code base that we can use when we're looking at EVM consensus and virtual machines. So it's been the easiest way to demonstrate and get our bridge going. From a commercial standpoint, almost 90% of all the DeFi activity happens on EVM chains, and most of the wrapped Bitcoin sits on EVM chains. And we also believe that this will give us the foundation to be able to show the community that we actually have something very concrete. Give them a chance to come and use it. Even if it's a bridge transaction, just see how it works. Have a feel for it. And then it will set us up to make non-EVM integrations better in the future, because we understand how to do the EVM side, the more established side, the more simple smart contracts. It will help us tremendously when we are looking at integrations with large ecosystems that are non-EVM, like Cardano or Solana. So we're talking about SVM. And these ecosystems have totally different virtual machines and have totally different consensus mechanisms. So what we plan to do now is integrate our Grail vault between Bitcoin testnet. In this case, it will be testnet 3 for those that are a little bit technical, testnet 3, to different EVM environments. You will be able to go on to a homepage that we've built, an app. We might have a mobile version too, where you can simply play around. We'll have a faucet there for testnet BTC, and you'll be able to move it to the network of your choice. It will be on testnet. We will be paying all the underlying gas fees on the destination chain. And we plan to expand this then to two-way bridging, so you can also experience how it works to bridge back. And what we hope to do is to showcase this as a demo, so as a light version, as an alpha version on mainnet, some point toward Q1. And through the first quarter, combine this with having a solid audit of the ZK verifier and the bridge smart contract, etc., so that by Q2 we can start looking at scaling these integrations up to EVM, putting the node network in place, and also start researching together with groups on these non-EVM ecosystems. And I do invite people to reach out if you're in these ecosystems and you want to contribute. We have commercials for this. We can discuss commercials for this. We want to find people that are excited about this prospect, builders that want to have better Bitcoin, sounder money, that want to build for Bitcoiners who want Bitcoin finality. And you're going to see some pretty major partnership announcements soon as well, coming out. So, everything takes its time, and we can't deliver everything at the same time, but we will do our best to work in parallel to get these integrations done when we know that our bridge, our verifier is audited and secure, and we've open sourced it, and then we're going to continue with that process later on.
Wow, that's fantastic. So a user interface will be available for the community within how many days would you say?
Well, I think a couple of days. We will start with an integration to one of our first partners called Merlin. We'll start with them, but then the other EVMs, hopefully, we are currently experimenting. But from what I can understand, it shouldn't be. Once you have done one EVM, the tweaks to the other EVMs are minor. I don't want to overpromise anything. We want to make sure everything works, but that's our intention to roll this out as soon as possible, and then drive users to come test it out and just help people get a sense of like what one of the things you can do with BitcoinOS is.
That's cool, yeah. And I think a lot of questions that are going to come up with this is there going to be some sort of incentive for just kind of playing around with testnet?
Good question. Will there be some sort of incentive? I will say that on the next space if you show up. Dun, dun, dun.
On a community side of things, there will be incentives, though. I will say that,
Yeah.
which I want to start talking about that a little bit later. But we will be running a sprint on Zeely, and this time it's going to be completely incentivized. Like, actually, like you'll be able to, the top 5 of the leadership board will be able to claim some USDC. And some of the tasks that are going to be integrated are going to be testnet related. So on a community side of things, yes. But then, when it comes to other incentives like airdrops and such, I can't comment on that. That's definitely something that David's going to have to touch base on with you guys later.
Yeah, but I would say that there is we are cooking. We are cooking.
We are cooking indeed. We are cooking indeed, for sure.
And hopefully we can get when you start seeing that the cook come through, share it, help us out, bring people. We want to drive a lot. We want to raise awareness. We want this community to grow. We're really here to like explain and talk and Claire and aliens are busy. So like let's help each other out there when that comes. I will yeah. But the next space, that's when we might talk about that. Got to be there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and in regards to what you're saying about like just, connecting like with, other projects and stuff in the community, it's like the whole goal of BitcoinOS is to unify this like fragmented ecosystem. Like we just want to bring everybody back home to Bitcoin, and then kind of like allow that like 1.9T that's been sitting dormant, like allow that to flow into the entire Web3 ecosystem, so now everybody can kind of get a piece of the cake. So it's a very like unified kind of ethos that we like move with. So yeah,
Yeah.
we absolutely love you guys, and you guys have been doing so much for us. So just shout out to everybody that's here. Like your support has been just so appreciated. And I just want you all to know that like I see like everybody's efforts here. We have so many regulars in the chat right now. I mean, like Soul Geek, John, Big Maven, Mark, Spoon, Sage, Omega, Constant, Jason, Israel, like all of you, like everybody here, to be honest, like I see the frequency here, and I just want you all to know that you're very appreciated. Like you guys have been doing so much. You guys have been making threads, posts, articles,
Oh, that's
videos, like
awesome.
we see it all. Yeah, it's been amazing. So we
Tag
really
me and I'll
appreciate it.
retweet your threads. And although I only have 700 followers, they are not bots. Just tag me. I would love to read them and retweet.
Yes, no, same here, same here. And all right, well, I guess like that's like the big like testnet update. So just to give you guys a TLDR for anybody that just joined in, a user face will be available in the coming days, so that you can basically mess around with the bridge, see what it's all about. And then I will get into the Zeely Sprint update a little bit later, but I do want to kind of like just leave some time for some questions.
Can I just
Solgeek,
say one thing, Alien, as
yes.
well? So if this user interface doesn't happen in a few days, okay, trust me, it's because the integrations are happening in the background. It's just a business decision. Okay, trust me. I just want to put a caveat on that. I just want to put a caveat on that. But it's a question of like, do you want to launch it with how many chains or how we want to do it? But it will come, and it will be really cool.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to update you guys like every step of the
Yeah.
way, of course, like on Discord, Telegram, Twitter. So, but Soul Geek, you came up first. So if you have any questions, my friend, the mic is yours.
Okay, GM, everyone.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Good to see you always.
Same here. Okay, I've always waited for the testnet, and yes, it's here, and I love what I am hearing because the incentive parts, I gets me wanting to keep listening. But no problem, and thanks, Alien, for the the opportunity, though, right? Because I've always been, will I say, always had this interest into Bitcoin OS, and I've been on their Discord and stuff like that. And yes, I would say this is a way to change your life better because they have lots and lot of opportunities. So I'm just saying they out there, just try and get involved in this testnet because there are a lot of things to gain, right? I'm a living testimony. I'm actually gaining from them, right? Because I'm in the group, their community, everything, Discord, I'm always there. So I'm saying this testnet is gonna be one of its kind. You should plug in. Like I don't know what more to say to convince you, but this is something you shouldn't fade. Please and please just try and do it. Right. I would have loved to say this in pidgin so that Alien could learn, but we're on a space, so let's not do that. Right. So but thanks, David, right? I loved every fact that you broke it down and made it so easy and simple to understand, right? And That's all. That's all from me. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We really appreciate your support. You're very active in the communities. Like, trust me, we see all your efforts, and it's much appreciated. And also really appreciate you trying to teach me some Nigerian pidgin as well. It's definitely coming in beneficial. I'm pretty sure everybody's been noticing I've been just hitting everybody with some Nigerian pigeon here and there in the community. So it's just been some good laughs, if anything. But thank you so much. Your support means everything. Anjali, if the mic is yours, my friend. And also, if anybody else has any questions, like feel free to hit the request button and we'll bring you up. But Anjali, the mic is yours. Hello, Anjali. All right. Well, if you would like to speak, the mic is yours. But you might be AFK. Um, I guess like in the meantime, like we did have some other questions too from the community. David, if you wanted to answer these. So somebody asked, what will the boss issuance look like? Will they be traded on exchanges or what did they say? Will they be traded on exchanges? How will they be bought and sold? Will there be a pre-mine, pre-issuance?
Hmm. I think I would say that at this point, all of those. Um, so like trading wise, a token like BitcoinOS would be tradable. I would say so. I'm being deliberately vague here. I don't. These are the areas that that you don't want to be unclear about. With the issuance, I would say that's not something we can reveal at the moment. When the token is out, we will when we're getting to closer to TGE, these things will be more specific. So for investors, for people that think like that, don't worry. And I think that the 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 um, the ethos of the project is to build it in such a way that we can have community participation as much as possible. Will there be a pre-mine? I have to defer for a later date on all these things. And I'm not saying that because we haven't made a decision, but I'm saying that because I'm not really the right guy to I'm obviously more on the developer and DevRel side than I am on the business side. So this is not something I would say I should be the right person to talk about here. I would say that
That's a question
yeah.
for Iago.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't
That's
want to
fine.
say the wrong thing. But of course there needs to be a token in this context, and you know how the crypto space is. There are tokens on exchanges, there are tokens on chain. Want to capture as much volume as possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll have more information for that next community call, which Yago will definitely be present on. He's just at a pretty big conference right now, so he couldn't make it. But yeah, next community call, we'll basically dive more into these questions and give you guys like all the details, if we can, right? And then I guess that was honestly it. That was honestly it in terms of like the questions that the community had. But Mark, we just brought you up, my friend. The mic is yours if you have any questions.
Okay. Oh, thanks. GM, everyone in space, GM again. Thanks for bringing me up to speaker section. My question was, I couldn't get most of what you all were saying, but about these test nets, how can like we get access to it? How can we actively participate in the test net? Because I've not really been contributing like that to the Bitcoin OS, but I'm currently active, always listening to you guys. But I really want to like find myself being a part of the testnet to
Yeah,
probably run the app and stuff.
yeah, we will provide. When you go onto the app, um, there's two things, right? You need to have Bitcoin to bridge, testnet Bitcoin. So this is not real Bitcoin. Okay, you can buy testnet Bitcoin, but I don't think you can sell it. So it's first I just want to clarify for everybody that the transactions that you'll be doing on testnet are not real. They don't have monetary value in terms of being able to exchange those tokens for anything else. It will be a integration between Bitcoin testnet 3 and the destination chain testnet. So in case of Ethereum, it'll be whole sky, and in the case of Arbitrum, I think it'll be Sepolia, ETH. But your question is very good, and this is another sign that we care about community, we care about the users, because we will be subsidizing this. So I am currently, actually, I just bought a bunch of whole sky testnet ETH. We're getting ETH from the target chains. They're providing us with testnet ETH as well for the computations we need to do on that side, and for the Bitcoin testnet BTC that you will essentially use to bridge. We will have a faucet on the app itself. So you will connect your wallet to the faucet and you will request the faucet quantity, and you will then have the Bitcoin, the testnet BTC balance you need to do the bridge transaction. And the gas that's underneath is paid for by testnet tokens, testnet ETH that we have already sourced. So in some ways, it's going to be interesting to see, because we haven't sourced an infinite amount. But we can always source more. So it's going to be interesting to see. Maybe there's a bit of a first come first serve, in case we run out quickly and we have to source some more. But that's it. So you shouldn't have to pay or go to any other faucets or do anything. We want you to have a one-stop shop experience when you go on the app.
So just to confirm though, so we're gonna provide those testnet coins, or that's gonna be that's something that they would have to seek out themselves.
Yeah, we will provide it. So when I say faucet, on the app, the faucet is basically, think of it as a water faucet, right? You turn it on and it drips down, little drips, drips, drips. That's what a crypto faucet is. So it just means that this faucet has testnet BTC sitting inside it, and when you connect your wallet to it, the faucet will give you a little drip for free. And many chains have this methodology. When you sometimes, you run out of gas when you've sent something on, you run out of ETH when you've sent, when you've done something and you can't bridge back from chain B to chain A, and that's when you go to the faucet to get some ETH to help yourself. Like that's the so the only thing that as a user would do is acquire the testnet BTC from the faucet on the app. All the other fees are subsidized by testnet tokens that we have prepared.
And what I'll do on my end is I'll make sure that I get instructions, very simplified step-by-step instructions for you guys, so that it's simplified, so that you can just go on there and kind of figure it out very easily.
Yeah, that's actually, I've been told that that's something I need to put together, actually. So thanks for reminding me.
Okay, no worries. We can work together on that if you'd
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'll put that in the, yeah.
Awesome. Mark, does that answer your question, my friend?
Yeah, it definitely has. Thank you for making it simple for me. Thank you for all your appreciate.
Of course. Much appreciated as well. We really appreciate you, my friend. Jason, welcome. Hello. Good to see you. The mic is yours if you have any questions.
Oh, GM Alien, GM David, GM Honorable Host BitcoinOS, GM So Geek, GM Mac, GM John, GM Anjali, GM everyone on the space. Yeah, so you guys already kind of answered my question, like the reason why I requested for the mic. I was gonna ask how the testnets work. Yeah, and yeah, you already said you're gonna drop a full guideline on how the hosting is gonna work. So I'll be waiting for that. And I don't know if, because I had a question about the whole GameFi ecosystem on the last space, and you asked me to like wait for this community call, but I don't know if this is the right time to get such information.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead, ask that question.
So I was wondering, like, how is BOS going to integrate with the whole GameFi ecosystem, like play to earn games? How is it gonna work? Like, because I know on Tom there are lots of play to earn games that you can,
Yeah,
get some tokens, as
yeah,
an edge.
like yeah,
So,
Hamster Combat, all these ones.
yeah. So when BOS launches now, like developers gonna be able to build all these like play to earn games or maybe tap to earn games on Bitcoin, or
Well,
just
I think
like bring it on to
uh,
Bitcoin.
yeah, this is a technical distinction that is important to clarify, because BitcoinOS is currently, in its current state, is not an application platform, which Telegram is. Both the app Telegram and the Ton blockchain are application platforms. What BitcoinOS does is, and it goes back to Claire's point, there's $2 trillion worth of Bitcoin doing very little right now, just sitting in cold storage. And that Bitcoin can pump the rest of crypto massively if it gets activated and moved into other ecosystems. But the people that own this Bitcoin, they might have owned that for 10 years. They were so early. And the last thing they want to do is lose those Bitcoins somewhere else for fucking around and finding out. What I said the Bitcoiners care about in order to move their money out of the cold storage is, number one, non-custodial, counterparty risk-free transfers to other chains, meaning the vault we talked about. The custody cannot go somewhere else. They have to have custody. So it needs to be non-custodial. Okay, they have to have self-custody. That's number one. And number two is that they believe that Bitcoin is the most secure chain out of all of them. Right? They believe that the consensus mechanism with proof of work and miners is safer than all the other chains. What BitcoinOS is doing is it's providing a way for these Bitcoiners to access application-rich ecosystems outside of Bitcoin, on Telegram, on Ton, on Ethereum, where all the apps are, while maintaining the principles of self-custody and Bitcoin finality and Bitcoin security, because we are able to provide Grail BTC that is secured by 1 out of n, and our roll-up tech stack will be able to provide a model where the other chain, the destination chain, can actually roll up to Bitcoin. So if we can provide these two things without changing Bitcoin, then these Bitcoiners will only make very, very small compromises in order to reach these application-rich ecosystems. And that's why we believe that we can unlock a lot of the Bitcoin sitting on the sidelines and bring that to other ecosystems, which is why our integrations eventually should create pumps for the ecosystems that we integrate with. Should,
So, and basically, like what you're saying, David, just to like simplify it, is that our infrastructure, our operating system allows other chains to essentially bring programmability, correct? To
it allows
Bitcoin.
other chains to have the option of using Bitcoin as their layer one, you can say. Use Bitcoin as their most base layer, which is what we call settlement and security layer, in the same way that Arbitrum today uses Ethereum as its settlement layer. But if they wanted to use Bitcoin, they can now do it with BitcoinOS, for example. So for Bitcoiners, they might go, oh, there are so many cool apps on Arbitrum. There's $16 billion of TVL on Arbitrum. There's loads of lending. There's loads of DEXs. There's loads of meme coins. But they all roll up to Ethereum. And I don't trust Ethereum. I don't think it's as safe as Bitcoin is. So but with the BOSS technology, if you have the ability to roll up that back to Bitcoin, they go like, well, actually, now my transactions on Arbitrum in that rich app ecosystem are actually secured by proof of work and Bitcoin miners, which I do trust. And when I bring my Bitcoin over, they're secured by this 1 out of n assumption that we discussed earlier.
And what would you, so how would you like, what would you say in regards to like gaming and such then? Is that something that, we have in our
Yeah,
future somehow, or some kind of integration? Because I know that Yago was touching base on that, like in one
yeah,
of our calls. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the angle for Bitcoin as an ecosystem, and to be honest, Boss could very easily build a chain as well for an app ecosystem. That's not where the difficult tech is, but I think it depends is the true answer. You could, if you in the very long run, if there are, I think people in crypto have different needs. Okay, if you are playing games where you're doing a lot of transactions, microtransactions, you're swapping items within the game, skins, points, all these things, and you want them to run on chain, but these transactions are moving micro values like 50 cents to 5, 6, 7, $10. You probably don't want these assets to be running on Bitcoin directly. You want them to run on a faster chain that can process a lot of transactions that all have low risk and low notional. But if you wanted to eventually validate that back to Bitcoin, you could with our technology. Where I see Bitcoin playing a role in gaming and these things is that some gaming assets could potentially be worth a lot. Collectibles, Pokemon cards that are worth $2 million that Logan Paul buys or whatnot, right? If he wants to put that on a chain as an NFT or what we call ordinals, etc. Now I think there's definitely people that want to have the permanence of Bitcoin and put these things on a Bitcoin chain and explore how that can be done. How can I put all kinds of things that I want to know that in 100 years there will still be on the blockchain and I will still be able to access it. My children's children's children will be able to access these assets. It could be, I know people that are inscribing records, record libraries, legal contracts. These things are like high value long term. Of course, it will be cheaper to do it over time, but that is something that Bitcoin can be used for. And that is something that I kind of alluded to a bit earlier, that we are working on manipulating UTXO transactions. We're manipulating how certain tokens behave on Bitcoin and can behave on Bitcoin. And that's something that we could potentially unlock so that you can do way more, potentially even do these microtransactions and small transactions on Bitcoin without clogging the network, without causing significant gas costs. And that has to do with technology that, again, manipulates how tokens behave on Bitcoin, which we're building. So that there's an angle for that as well. Basically, simply put, can you put smart contract logic on Bitcoin? Can you make
Okay, thank you so
finality
much.
quick?
Jason, I think you're rugging. I think
Yeah, my network is
yeah.
actually kind of bad. But yeah, I actually got the information I needed. Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
was gonna ask one more thing, like what are the requirements for being a node operator?
Don't know yet, but we are working on that.
Yeah, there's a design that we'd like to follow, but
Yeah.
we just can't really give you guys the specifics to that yet. But from I guess the only information that we can provide is what I've already said to you guys before, which is, to run like a boss node, for example, you'd be able to run that with a very simple laptop. But then a slam node is going to require like just a
Yeah.
stronger system, right? With at least like 100 cores in your CPU to your CPU. So, and that's obviously like a much more expensive system. Obviously, not everybody, not everybody's going to be able to access that. But in terms of running like a boss node, that's kind of more. That's just something that everybody could explore. And once the time comes into how to actually run a node, how to contribute to the system, I'll make sure that I have all the instructions for you guys. I'll make sure that I'm hosting AMAs with you guys regarding this, and I'll basically give you guys all directions to be able to do that.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean I don't know. I meant that we haven't decided and we haven't published it. But there
That's
are,
fine. That's
yeah, my bad.
that's why I was like, wait, let me step in real quick. Let me step in real
Thanks, Claire.
quick.
Yeah, thanks for saving me. Yeah.
But Jason, that's a good question. That's a good question. And I would like to actually have a deeper conversation about nodes with you guys as well in the near future. I know, like, I think it was like two weekends ago we had a AMA and we were focusing like quite a bit on nodes. You guys were pretty interested on that, so maybe this weekend, maybe next weekend, we can have another like just AMA or just community call where we can focus on nodes, what they are, how to contribute to the OS, to our operating system, so on and so forth. But Spoon, my friend, so good to see you. Always so good to see you.
Claire.
Love having you here.
Hey.
Hello. The mic is yours, my friend.
No, thank you for allowing me to speak. And David, thank you for breaking down the bridge. It's very informative and appreciate you guys dissecting that because that's a very important part. And I don't need to ask, so you guys are covering that extremely well. Um, I just wanted to remind Claire that I'm interested in the validator um, sections on your OS. And so I want to make sure my name's at the top of the list there. That's why I'm up here. I'm interested in what you guys are doing, and I'm looking definitely into your technology to integrate to what I'm doing
Hmm.
because you save me a lot of time and concerns with regards to the bridge because people don't realize that's an important part, bridging from one network to the other, because we're creating our own network for our own application because it functions better for what we're doing, and bridging to other network. If you guys are already doing that, would definitely, I want to look into how we can integrate that into our process. So if you guys are taking care of that and you sound like you guys really know what you're doing, I think it would work. I'll have to discuss it with my team, because it reduces our time, and I think it really works out, in my opinion.
Yeah, Spoon, I think you should DM David and you guys can kind of chat about like all the technicals and whatnot and see if there's any opportunity for us to collaborate there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my CTO do that, and my other EVP that is the enterprise solution architect guy. He's really advanced into this kind of stuff because we create applications, but we create applications for hotels, fitness centers,
Hmm.
and healthcare. That's our focal point. We're real estate developers, so we have things that we're building like data centers, hotels, and when you build a hotel, there's restaurants, there's fitness centers. So all that applications, we've created it already. I've created that back in the 90s, but we have to redo it again. We're a hosting service provider, so we'll be doing dedicated servers, gaming servers, domain names, all those hosting solutions. And I've done this back in the 90s and early 2000s, where I was a game server provider for Counter Strike, America's Army Honor Server, Battlefield, Call of Duty, and many other games out there. So I'm bringing that all back, and I'm looking to integrate a lot of these um, technology in the Web3 into the gaming, but you can't really put it into the game itself, as David said, because of the speed and the small process. But we do have a solution for that. And that's why I was listening carefully with what David was saying. And he's spot on in a lot of those things because I'm familiar with game files because I've handled a lot of load balancing for that. And it can be complex. So the game files is handled similarly to validation, and I want to simplify the process and validation for the validators so this way they can manage their business effectively and efficiently. And so I like what you guys are doing. I'm paying attention. That's why I'm here, following Claire, and she follows me around. We're fishermen's out there in the world of space. We just crack at each other when we bump into the same space. Hey, what are you doing here? Hey, what are you doing here? So thank
It's
you
a
guys,
small
and, and
world,
and I'll
small
be I'll
world.
be paying attention to what you guys are doing. I don't code anymore. I coded back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, so it's out of my realm. I let my CTO and my other the developing team handle all that kind of stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Spoon. Thank you so much. And yeah, like I said, reach out to David and see if there's any.
Absolutely. I'm
Yeah,
gonna see how I'm gonna follow you back, David, and we'll definitely connect. But I won't be doing all the talking. It'll be my guys that currently builds the system for us.
awesome.
Sounds good.
Sounds great, Spoon. Thank you so much. Always good to see you, my fellow fisherman friend. ZK girl, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Good to see you. Do you have any questions for us? ZK girl, do you have any questions for us, my friend? It's so good to see
Yeah.
you.
Hi, Pauline. Thank you so much. I actually don't have any questions yet.
That's okay. That's okay. If you do have questions that come up, like feel free to just like raise your hand and we'll give you the mic. But in the meantime, I want you guys to write down something that I'm going to share with you because this is going to be important so that you guys can get XP for this. The secret code, and I'm going to give you context later. The secret code is like a boss, like a boss. So write that down and save it somewhere because you're going to want to use it tomorrow. And now the context for this is, as you guys know, we use Zeely, right? So Zeely is like this kind of like community building platform where you can do different tasks and it basically gives you XP, right? So the different tasks can include, make your own post, make your own thread, retweet a specific tweet, so on and so forth, right? One second, guys. So what we're actually doing is we're running a new sprint. And now the sprint is going to be filled with like a bunch of new tasks. And the best part about this, guys, is that it is incentivized. So for the next month, there's going to be a set of new tasks that basically roll out pretty much like weekly, and you'll get specific experience points for completing those tasks, right? So one of them, for example, is going to be host a space about Bitcoin OS, make a thread about Bitcoin OS, make a YouTube video about Bitcoin OS, those types of things, right? Attend our community calls, enter a secret code from the community call, right? Which I just shared with you guys. So and obviously that's for people who actually like come in and interact and are actually here and are actually listening. You'd have to go through the entire call to get that secret code, right? So I just want to incentivize you guys for being here. And so the best part about this, like I said, the Zeely Sprint, is that the top 5 on this leadership board at the end of the month wins $200 in USDC each. So we're basically giving out $1,000 in USDC at the end of the month to the top 5 on the leadership board. So this is the first of many that we hope to launch. And it's just our way to say thank you, guys. Like, thank you so much for belonging to our community. Like, we see your efforts. We see like how attentive you are to the community calls, the WebB Academy spaces, and it's just a token of our appreciation for you. Just a nice little way to give back to you guys, of course, because the community is the backbone. Always, the community is everything here, and we really want you guys to know that we know that and we see your efforts. So yes, like I said, that secret code, you'll be able to you'll utilize it starting tomorrow. So the Zeely Sprint starts tomorrow and it goes for a month. And then we're going to basically just monitor and see how this went. How much did the community actually engage? Did they appreciate, did they want to actually do the tasks that we put up? And then from there, we'll basically keep continuing this for the next couple of months, right? If it's successful, we'll keep it going. But that's like that big community update that I had for you guys today. It's very exciting. I'm like exciting for it to roll out. I'm excited to, incentivize you guys. And also I do want to highlight that a lot of you are OGs. And so with that, right, you might be like, oh, what about the people who have been active for like the last like couple of months? What about us, right? Well, don't worry, I did not forget about you. What we actually went ahead and did was we created a free task that basically incentivizes people who are over a specific level. So some of you, for example, who are like over level 6 can basically, I don't know if it's level 6 exactly, but it's a higher level, right? What you can just do is you can go and you can claim that task for free and you'll get like a pretty decent boost in XP points, right? It'll just be like a nice little boost for you that'll basically help you kind of like reach your goals of being like the top of the leadership board. So hopefully that makes sense. I just want those of you who are OGs to know that like we appreciate you so much, and by no means whatsoever do we forget about you. So hopefully that is a nice little incentive for you guys as well. Um, But yeah, outside of that, guys, stay tuned. That's all I can say. This next month is going to be absolutely wild, and we have so much in store, so much planned for you guys. I can't wait till we actually have the time to like announce some of these things. I think you guys are going to get very excited. I think you guys are going to love what we're doing. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. And yeah, with that, of course, Precious, if you have any questions now, or if anybody else has any questions and you'd like to come up, feel free to. If not, we'll probably be wrapping up here. And then, as you guys know, I host a AMA, kind of like a non-technical-esque AMA every Sunday, which is at 12, I believe it's 12:30 p.m. EST. And for our Nigerian listeners, it is 6:30 p.m. Western African time. So that's pretty much every Sunday. We didn't have it last Sunday just because I was like really exhausted and I needed to like sleep in. But this weekend we will have one. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and I'll make sure that I announce that in the community channels as well for those, so that just so that you guys can have a reminder. And I'd like to highlight that I am not the most technical person. So if you are going to kind of like jump in and ask technical questions, I will do my best to answer them. But I can't guarantee that, it's going to completely fulfill you. So, but I will do my best, of course, for you guys. But yes, if anybody has any questions, feel free to come up. Otherwise, we will definitely be just wrapping up here. Let me just give you guys a quick second. And in the meantime, I do want to just kind of play some tunes here before we like as we close up. Let's see. So, does anybody have any questions whatsoever? If not, we're definitely going to be just like wrapping up here. But that's what it seems like, so that's totally fine. I just want to give a big shout out to every single one of you here. ZK Girl, so good to see you. Mark, so good to see you. Spoon, my friends, Soul Geek, Jason, John, Balia, so good to see you. Sage, Omega, thank you guys. Sage and Omega, thank you so much. Constant, thank you so much for being here. DeFi producer, love the DCA community. So good to see you guys here. Ridwan, and OG. Love to see you here, my friend. Gideon, good to see you. Oliver's here, our lovely, lovely, lovely community manager. Big shout out to him. If we can get some hearts in the chat for him. He does so much for us, guys. So shout out to you, Oliver. Willie is here. Willie, so good to see you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Alpha Male from Grid Tech is here. Shout out to you. Olia, good to see you. Fayens, amazing to see you, my friend. Web3, Descendant, much love to you. Dark Side, Web3 Duchess, I believe. Good to see you. Chisholm, Marvin, Hoya, Asaf, good to see you. Hamdist, I think that's how you pronounce it, but might have butchered that. Our OG, so good to see you. Lucas, thank you so much for being here. You were here the whole time. I saw that. We appreciate it. Bits and Chris, amazing to see you. Samuel, thank you so much. Prince, amazing to see you, my friend. And Marin, thank you so much for being here. I saw that you were here pretty much the entire time. So shout out to all of you. Like, really, really appreciate your efforts in this community. And with that, let's play some quick tunes to kind of like close this off.
Joanna, you're busy, but we busy tonight. Joanna, making her the me tonight. Joanna, you're busy, but
Alien, what's going on?
Alien, why you playing Nigerian songs?
It's a good song. Let's go. Let's go.
You
Good
gotta share the
vibes before we
playlist on
enter the
Discord
weekend.
later.
I will.
I'm so fucking proud of Nigeria right now. I'm so fucking proud of Nigeria.
Alien, Alien, how about you sing along? Let's hear you.
You want me to sing along?
I will
Oh,
appreciate that.
baby, Drogba, Drogba.
Oh!
Let's go, guys. Let's go. All right, guys. Shout out to all of you. This was a fantastic space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, I gave you guys some laughs there with my singing and my Nigerian pigeon. Love you all so much. I will definitely, yeah, if you guys need anything, as always, I'm at your service. DM me, reach out to me. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we will all speak to you soon. Take care, guys.
Yeah, take care. Have a good one.